Mike Lunney,
That's right.
answering the questions that need to be answered.
Yes, a fire hydrant of BS.
Open it on fire hydrants have a
Open the
what, a
wrench, man.
regulator?
Hot tip. That's what you spit on the Well played, Mr. Rick.
Rick in the chair. Okay, brother. Where
Love
are
being
we?
passive aggressive.
We have been talking about process.
Yes, and we've
We've
been
we've
talking
been
about
talking about
contest.
uh, things that might actually matter in the world of adjudication. That's a harsh way to say that, but
No, that's the truth.
as opposed to focusing on, as you want to say, the trapezoidal statuette.
Yeah. Little trophies that no one gives a rip about later.
So let's break that out a little bit this morning, Mike. And I know we've had conversations with this topic before, but I want to revisit. What do we do with that whole process once it's over?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of because we did it before, but it was in terms of just the whole success of your program. And I wanted
Right.
to do this one today on how to deal kind of with the aftermath of contest.
That's
You
that's
know,
what I mean.
yeah. So that just for the ones who are listening, that way they'll know it's not the same podcast because we did one with Anthony Gibson that was really good, but it
Sure.
kind of goes in the whole thing of recruiting and retaining and all that kind of stuff. And there's different perspectives that happen. So it's kind of the idea of what is success to us. The director and staff have a definition, possibly, and even different between staff members if you're lucky enough to have staff. Students have a different definition. Their definition of success is, did we have what I wanted for lunch? For parents, are my kids in a safe place? And are they emotionally grounded and they're becoming better people because of the program? And they might not give a flip about, first division, second division, third division. Administration, are parents complaining and calling the office? If they aren't, that's called a successful band, maybe to the principal. General public, if you sit down at the Dairy Queen and someone comes up to you, are you the band man? Are you the band
Yeah.
woman? And it's what is their opinion of what is success? Do you
Well,
play the
see,
horse at third quarter?
I love this conversation though, because one of our episodes was called "What Do I Do with the Ratings?"
Yeah,
And even the title was focused on the rating. And I would like to think that I've evolved over the process of our almost 100 episodes
yeah,
into how our students, how's the product of the student? Are they good people? Did they learn? Have we accomplished goals? Whether we talked about with them or not, I know you're an advocate to say we need to tell our students these are the goals
yeah.
and this is what we're shooting for. So
Here's the
I'm
goals. Here's
excited.
the process. Yeah, and
Take us.
it's the matter of sometimes at a contest, it's a good thing that the kids do really really well, and sometimes I've had contest, marching or concert, where it's really hard to make eye contact between students and band director when we're done because we're all going, that wasn't our best foot forward. Where are we going? So we have to deal with both those aftermaths.
Right.
You have to be a
Where do we
gracious
go from
winner and a
here? Right.
gracious, uh, pardon the term, but a gracious loser. You know what I mean? If you don't get what your goal was, that doesn't mean your process was wrong. You just didn't quite produce on that given day. Good example recently in the Winter Olympics. I think most people would agree that the American hockey team was probably not the better team, but they won the game. And that
Right.
was the goal. And so they got the gold medal. So depth
By the
wise,
same token, the quad god,
yeah,
the ice skater, was pretty universally recognized as the best male figure skater there and just blew that free
yeah,
skate and didn't even make the podium.
yeah. And it doesn't mean that his process was wrong. That's a
Right.
tough one for directors to understand. That don't try to second guess your entire process. It's okay to fine tune it and move things around that you want to do differently, but don't just go, "Oh my gosh, I must be doing everything wrong." Sometimes things just happen. Okay.
Right.
I like to use this one because I think it's the best definition. Mr. John Wooden, he did 27 seasons at UCLA as a basketball coach. He grew up on a farm with a kerosene lamp with no electricity. Think about that. And this was from his father. But when he was at UCLA, he had a record of 316 wins, 68 losses. Um, his team won 10 NCAA championships, including seven in a row. Think about that, seven in a row.
Phenomenal.
That'll never be repeated. But here's his definition of success: peace of mind which is a direct result of self satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable.
Wow.
Think about that.
Right.
It's not, do we win a championship? And he would jokingly said, he goes, I thought I had some pretty good games where we won, but sometimes we didn't win by quite the point spread of our biggest benefactors.
Hmm.
So, according to the people laying money at Vegas, he said, we weren't successful at that game because we didn't win by 10 points or we
Didn't
didn't
cover
win
the
by 5
spread.
points.
Yeah.
So, that was his point of the perspective thing. So, perspective to a man gambling on the over under on a game is different than the perspective of the forward who's playing in the game, you know.
Right.
So we have to kind of figure that out within ourselves. You know, success in a band program be defined by a combination of factors. We're talking about like at the end of contest, what are we going to do? It could be student engagement. Is there, you know, are the kids participating? Is there musical and cultural growth within the band? Obviously, you know, the one that sticks out, performance quality. You know, does the band sound good? You know,
Right.
community impact. Do they take time to go to the Rotary Club and the Kiwanis and, you know, and send out your little music ambassadors to play at the rest home or the nursing home for the little beginner band goes out there. A strong band program fosters a sense of belonging. It encourages
Okay.
lifelong musical learning and produces accomplished musicians. To me, that's success. Notice in that sentence, they never mentioned trophies, it never mentioned state marching, it never mentioned honor band. We do those things. We strive for those things, but that is not our definition of success, in my opinion. Again, it's the sense of belonging, it's no accident that's number one. A sense of belonging encourages lifelong musical learning. They don't all do it, but there's still kids who do, and produces accomplished musicians. So
Hmm.
we have good musicians, good citizens that have a family.
That's great.
You know, so and I know for me, and I know we've talked a lot about this, and we don't want to just beat it to death, but man, that's a big part of our program is that kids need to have a place they can feel safe. There's kids who only come to school because of band. There's other kids that only come to school because of football. You know, um, it's we are that person, and I know that my band director friends out there, you know, no matter how early you get to the band hall, there's that kid that just sitting outside the door waiting. It's not because their parents don't love them. It's because they get to the school as quick as they can. And then at 5 o'clock at night or whenever you decide it's time to go home, you're the one shooing them out the door because they're not always playing their horn either, are they?
Right.
They're just sitting with
But
their friends talking. It's like, okay, y'all can go talk outside the band hall. Mr. Lundy has to go home, or there's baseball practice for my little one, you know, or whatever the case might be. So I just want to throw that out there that for me, that's my idea. The John Wooden thing, I think, ties into what I just said. If your goal of success is just the trophies, that's a dangerous sword to play with. You
let
know,
me ask
you'll
you a
live by the
question, Mike,
sword, you'll die by the sword.
and I don't even care if you answer it. How much of that do you think was expressed in our college curriculum when we were gonna be the next best band director that the world had ever seen?
Well, I think in most college curriculums, they do not, and this isn't throwing any people under the bus here.
No, no, no,
You
I'm
know,
not pointing fingers.
yeah, but you know, it's even to the point. I bet that, and when I was in school, they never even talked about trophies. They never. We just studied music. It was never even a consideration. You know, it's like, you know, we would go to contest and we would talk about it, you know, as students. But I remember my directors and my professors, they never mentioned, you know, that we're doing this to do this, you know, and we had our own levels of competition and who plays lead in the jazz band and who plays first alto and who plays principal flute in the wind ensemble. Yeah, that happens. But it was just a matter of we just teach music. And then in a way, that's kind of cool, but in a way, it's never addressed as be careful of this. There's this lit match over here that's called trophies. And you'll be playing with fire when you get out of here. You know, so we need to teach you how to deal with said flames, you know,
Sure.
and they just kind of turned us loose. So I don't know if it was, and I had great teachers. I mean, everything I do is based on what they taught me. Um, but we never really addressed that.
Right. And that's kind of because I still think there's the unwritten expectation that we're trying to create a person that will go out and be successful based on the rubric or whatever is set in front of them to be able to accomplish it.
Yes.
here's how you play the notes. Here's how you play the notes, as opposed to here's how you create. That's unfair. But it almost seemed like to me like education side of what I did was completely separate from the music side of what I did, and then you merge them in your own time
Yeah, you try to
to be
figure
a
it out.
music educator.
Yeah, and in one particular interview, when I was interviewing for a job that I did get, it was a handshake with the superintendent at the end because it was not written in anything, but his almost exact words were, "Mr. Lunney, we don't care if the band makes a 1. We don't care if they go to state marching. We don't care if they get a sweepstakes. We want a good football band." Said, "But if you give us a good football band, we'll do everything we can to give you what you need to do all that band director stuff that you guys like to do."
That band director stuff.
And we
That's
shook
great.
hands, and to their credit, they did. If I needed new sousaphones, they showed up. There's very rarely, every once in a while, I'll be like, "Oh, we can't do that this year, but we'll look at that for next fall. Well, I think we can
Right.
do that." Or I need another staff member. I need this. And that was a handshake with the superintendent. And it was, and we had a roaring football band. You know what I mean? Because I knew that was that was the superintendent's definition of success,
Sure.
you know, and I had to respect that because he kind of signs the paychecks. And he was actually correct because that was also the community's view of
You're gonna
success.
say you're ambassadors. Yeah.
They didn't care if you were in state marching or state finals or state honor band competition. They didn't even understand that process. They just wanted to see a band, and they wanted something that they would want to watch and not go get popcorn.
And so, well, you just said what I was about to say. I'm trying so hard to let you get back to where you're going, but I also think that as we've moved more into the uh, marching visual bands that know and expect now, there was a time when we started some of those programs that the fans were like, "What is that?
Yeah, and still to this
Where's the
day.
Budweiser song? Come on, yeah."
Yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. And I think, we used to do state every other year, and the same superintendent, he'd joke with me, he'd go, "I can tell when it's a state year." And I said, "Well, how do you know it's a state year?" Because I can sing the words to the songs." Isn't that a real simplistic but very
Yeah,
truthful statement? I can
sure.
sing and then our community was very forgiving, and the fact that they knew we were working to get to the state marching contest, so they were upwardly mobile enough that they were like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll deal with this because next year we're going to do Music of Queen, right? Yeah, okay. Hey, we're
Because
doing
next
Journey
year we can do some Beatles tunes.
we're going to do greatest hits of the 80s. It was like
Yeah.
remembering the 80s was one of our shows. And the next year we'll do Vesuvius and American Elegy and Aaron Copland. And they're like, "Okay, we'll let you do that. Will you play some fun stuff at the pep rally?"
Yeah,
Can the
that's funny.
drum line play third quarter and go up and down the stands and play cadences? And we'll just play what we need to over in the stand without drums. So you've got to feed. I say all that not to just ramble, kind of rambled a little bit, but that's okay. But you've got to feed the idea of what the definition of success is for each grouping around you. And it's not your job to educate them what success is. Listen to that again
Wow,
because
you
I
better break that one down for me.
because so many directors go, I've heard this statement. Well, we just play this music because we need to educate the crowd. What a load of crap. You're going to educate a crowd at a football game with Aaron Copland because they need exposure to this beautiful symphonic work? What a load of crap. Our job is not to educate the crowd at a football game or a spring concert. Our job is to present to them quality material that they can view as a success.
Let
When
them
their
form their own opinion.
when their kid is for whatever reason into therapy because they've had some issues, but band is the one thing that grounds them, that is a successful moment.
You're
It's
gonna
not
say,
Aaron Copland. It's not Frank DeKelly. I love that music, but it's not our job to educate the audience.
I'm gonna paraphrase your Job's quote, the one that you posted about you can't make somebody who doesn't wanna work hard. Typically, they're just not gonna work hard. You
Yeah,
can't force it.
and even
By the
money
same
doesn't matter.
token,
You can pay them
you
300,000
can't
a year, and they're still not gonna work hard. They'll just take their money.
somebody that doesn't want to appreciate symphonic music, you can't force them to appreciate it.
Right. So
Eh,
you'd better have greatest hits of some musical or of a of the '80s or something in your spring concert, so that that person or that community person will go, "Yeah, I'll put up with your An American Elegy if I can
Li
hear Greased Lightning
I'll
later."
I'll
You know what I
I'll even
mean?
say this though, but when they see their student loving every minute of it,
Oh yeah,
then they go, "Okay,
yeah. And I tell
I
you
don't
what,
get it, but my kid's happy."
it's a true story, but it really impacted me when I taught at a small school. And one of the Oldfield dads came in with all his gear because he didn't have time to change before the concert. And his little daughter was playing flute. And you see this 280-pound guy with all his protective gear on, just covered head to toe with dirt and oil residue,
Oil field crud, yeah.
crying because he sees his daughter playing flute on stage. Because in a small school, listen to me carefully, band director friends, I'm going to say this, you are the only touch of culture in some of these small towns. So that man knew that his daughter loved band, and he loved seeing his daughter love band. Did he like band? Maybe.
Mm.
He might have been in. I've been in those we call them man camps out here in the Woolfields. When I'll stay, like one of those hotels for $40 a night, and it's the best room in the house, and it's you get cooked breakfast and everything. But I'll sit at breakfast and I'll have like what I'm wearing now, just a polo shirt and slacks, and they're all in their protective gear and they've got all their gear with them, and I just wait for them. They'll just be eating their breakfast. Finally, someone will look and go, "What are you doing here?"
Who are
'Cause I
you?
think I'm like, are you like a upper person in Chevron or Texaco and you're here
Company
to
man,
make
yeah.
sure? And then it's funny, I'll break it to 'em, I go, "No, no, I'm working with a band. I'm working with the band over here about 10 miles away." And then all hell breaks loose. It's like, "Oh my god, I played trombone in Randy Story's band. Mr. Nail was my band director." And these guys start telling all their stories of band, and I can't even get to the clinic because these guys are just so excited because it brings back all those cool memories of when they were in the band programs in those little towns or their bigger towns. But isn't that cool? That all of a sudden I'm just one of them, even though I'm not anything. I have nothing else in common with them. I have no earthly idea what they do for a living. You know, I know that I burn oil, but that's about the epitome of my knowledge of the oil patch,
But I'm
besides
not
investing
sure
in wildcatters. I love to invest in those guys because it's like gambling.
you didn't just capsulate the point of this entire conversation
Yeah. Those
in that
programs were a
conversation.
success, weren't they?
It's still that important, and it still excites them that much that
Yes.
they relive it when somebody brings it up.
And I've never had one go, "Oh, yes, we did Pines of Rome, and we did it with antiphonal brass." No one ever does that. They never mention the music or the shows. They
It
always go,
was just the experience. Yeah,
"Do you know so and so? Do you know David Rollins?" "Yes, I do." "Oh my god, he was my band director." Or,
that's
"Do
great.
you know Rodney Gurley?" "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm
I'm
sorry
sorry.
to sorry you know Rodney Gurley." I know Rodney, so I just had to throw that in there.
I know Rodney too.
We have to apologize for anyone that has to deal with Rodney Gurley at an ongoing basis. But they talk about the relationships. They talk about how they met their wife in band. They talk about how
Right.
their girlfriend or their boyfriend was in band. Isn't that cool? That it's the
That's great.
relationships. They never go, and we were at state marching. Ugh.
Yeah.
They never say that. I always have to bring it out. Yeah, weren't you guys at state marching? Yeah, yeah, I think so. They don't even remember.
Right.
We thought it was important.
That's fun.
Success. Success. So there's certain indicators that I think that, you can use to your advantage. Um, do we have high participation rates? Successful band programs tend to attract significant numbers of kids. Some directors are in that mode of they just keep the best kids and the rest of them they run off and they might have a band of 27, and it'd be a really good band. So in their vision of success, that is successful because the band plays super, super clean. And that's okay. I respect that. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. Okay. Another is active learning. Are students actively engaged in their musical education? Are there questions being asked? Are they learning new skills every day? Are they developing their musical understanding? Are you
Right.
challenging them with a little more complex music every turn of the stand? We're just going to learn one more concept in seventh grade. We're going to do this piece because it's in 6/8 time. Is there
Mm.
one more thing happening? Is that's active learning instead of the difference of educating And for my coaching friends, I hate to say this, but we see coaching as you tell them what to do and they do it. I don't see many football coaches on the field go, "Hey, offensive line, tell me what you're thinking. How are you guys feeling today?" It's you will block the A gap. You will block the A gap to the left. If you don't, I'm going to put someone else in there that can do
Right.
that.
And
You
this
know,
is what
and
your feet do exactly, and this is
yes,
what your hands do exactly.
yes, and I'm sure there are coaches that take it to a different level, the Nick Sabans of the world, but even he is real common and his process is his process. So we really can't, we do have to coach sometimes, Derek. We really do. But,
Right.
there's other times when we can like just stop and go, flutes, how could we make that sound better right there? Oh, yeah, yeah. The right notes would help. Good answer. You know, breathe
Right.
deeper. That's a good answer. Okay. We can all tongue the same way. Very good. So, because some are slurring, some are tonguing, and let them start to tear it apart and then say, well, play it again. Because usually when you ask them that question, they all look at you like, what? Well, let's play that part again. And now listen to it this time. And all of a sudden they'll have 15 answers and try to ask it open ended to where there's not a right or wrong answer. So they'll participate. Also, use this skill. This Luke McMillan, a good friend of mine, taught me this skill. He said, "Ask the question, then name the name of the kid."
Not before.
Yeah. Yeah, because he goes, "Yeah, I noticed when you ask the band question, you'll say, 'Hey, Derek, what do you think we should?'" So every other kid in the band quits listening.
Turns off. Yep.
Yeah, they just turn off. But if you go, "Hey, how can we make this trumpet section sound better and blend in with the band?" You just look at all the trumpets, you know? So Luke McMillan taught me that skill.
Cool.
That's about the only thing he ever taught me. But no, I'm kidding. Luke's a great guy. He's a fantastic writer. So if you want a show, go to lukemcmillanmusic.com. This has been sponsored. No, never mind. Um,
Well, I noticed that you put out a bunch of his new shows and said, "Get in while the getting's good."
Get in while the getting's good, man. It's because they have exclusivity. You can pay for levels where no one else can play your show at district level, area level, state level. You can buy exclusivity for the state of Texas in your
Oh, wow.
classification. And some directors, that's important to them. For me, it
Sure.
wasn't important to me because he was on my staff and I got the music for free. And so I was like, just don't give it to anybody else, man. I'd have to pay for it.
Pretty
Uh,
simple equation.
it was a simple equation. You want your job, buddy? There's personal growth. Students demonstrate growth in their musical abilities, and they develop a passion for music. And that has nothing to do with competition. You know,
Right.
so it's just a matter of do they get better as a musician? Okay, and then we kind of throw it into
Mike, can I ask
yeah,
you a question, though?
yeah.
Do you think the converse of that holds true? That you can steal the student's joy of making music when you make it all about a rating and or you don't allow them the freedom to actually create?
Oh, there's no doubt that absolutely it just drains every bit of energy and joy out of their lives. You know,
Yeah.
think about like just education in general. If your only purpose in high school is to get a resume and a grade point average to get to college, you will not enjoy one day. Now, do we want a good grade point? Yes. If you want to go to college, which is debatable nowadays, I mean,
Sure.
a plumber can do a lot better than an engineer, so get you a trade. But do you want to do well because do you want to enjoy each day? Do you want to be able to ask questions? Do you want people to care about what you're thinking? Then you will enjoy education.
You almost invalidate the experience when you make it about you have to be this awesome or you won't be able to continue the maybe I didn't say that
No,
well,
you
but
said that right because we layer it as a threat, don't we? If you
yeah.
don't do it this way, we will not make a one.
And you will not be considered successful.
And they interpret that as what you meant it to be. You will
Yeah.
lose as a band. If you want to lose, do it your way. That's
Wow.
scary.
Whether
That
we
is
say it like that or not, we say it.
Yeah, and some say it that way. I've heard it said, if we do it
Just
this
saying.
if we do it this way, you're not worth the price of diesel to get you to the contest.
Oh,
Yeah. So do we all fall prey to that because of our anxiety as a director? There's times. Okay. I've had my moments, but our goal is should be our goal and our process is, man, I want these kids to leave band going, uh, I want to come back to this. And I always tell directors it's a great way of measuring whether their band's a success. Derek, if you're the director of a band, if I said, Derek, would you want to be in your band?
Right. I was getting ready to ask
Oh my
you.
gosh. Their eyes just get wide and they're like, I don't know. It's real stressful every day. Well, it's stressful because of you, Derek.
Right. And I
Because
might
you're the
have to ask
director. You're the
myself,
one making it stressful. You know?
is this the best hour of their day?
Yeah. They should leave the band hall grudgingly. Like,
Or as you
yeah,
said earlier, they never want to leave.
yeah, they just don't want to leave. Band kids, and I should say music, but I'm more with band. Band kids are the only kids in school that skip class to come to another class.
Like,
Other kids skip class and go outside to vape on the street, but
right.
how many times band directors out there have band kids just shown up during fifth period in your band hall? Because especially a small school, you have one band hall and said, what are you doing? Well, Miss Johnson in algebra said, I had my homework done. I asked her if I could go to the band hall. And she said, sure, and gave me a note. I said, fine, help him play a C on trumpet. Go.
Right.
Band kids are the only kids that skip class to go to another class.
Home away
Or
from home.
I got in trouble in Iowa Park as a kid because we kept the directors would go to the junior high and we would use our student ID card to break through the lock to eat our lunch inside the band hall. And we got caught because we were leaving our cafeteria trays in the band hall. And Greg Miller's like,
That's
what are
hilarious.
y'all doing? There's cafeteria. Who's bringing cafeteria trays? And finally, the principal started coming down there and he opens the door and he goes, what are you? There's like 20 of us. And we weren't tearing anything up, but that was our lunch period. So we
Right.
break into the band hall. Who does that for algebra class? You know,
Teacher's not here. I got to get in there.
"Ah, God, he's not here, but man, we got to get in there because that's our safe place. It's our people.
A squared plus B squared.
Yeah,
Live
that's
it.
right. Pythagorean theorem, man. I'm living for that. And my oldest grandson, he's a numbers guy, so he will be that person. By the way, he will be he's going to be an accountant or some kind of
That's
engineer.
funny. Apple tree, Mike. Apple tree.
Yeah, he's the number guy. We discuss finances and ETFs and stock
Let's start
tradings.
talking about your portfolio.
Yeah, we talk about those things with my 7-year-old grandson, and he's working on that. Yeah, so we're going to have him at Merrill Lynch when he's a junior high kid.
Well, Mike,
Um,
based on our conversation, then how do you define, if we're talking about success in these terms, how do you define musical excellence? How do you say these are the things that create musical excellence?
well, the musical excellence part is just what we do as fundamental band repertoire and fundamental skill sets, because that has to happen. What I'm talking about success is how that's interpreted as people process it around you. So you
Okay.
can have a band play beautifully on Hindemith Symphony in B flat for band, which is just sounds like it's full of wrong notes.
Right.
So an average citizen, your average client out in the audience might go, that is the worst sounding band I've ever heard. In fact, in music
Right.
memory, my son did music memory, and that piece was one of the pieces, and he called it the wrong note song. That's how he memorized it because he could spell Paul Hindemith. He could spell Symphony for Band in B flat because he knew that piece as soon as it came on and they dropped the needle like the old days. Oh, that's the wrong note song.
Hindemith.
Yeah. So success is not what we do to make a great sounding band. Success is how people interpret what you're doing with the culture of the band in conjunction with how the band sounds.
Yeah.
Is that too
Okay.
deep? It's getting
No,
deep in here, man. Where it's getting like
no, but it's
gotta
a
put my
good deep.
cowboy boots on.
It's a good deep.
It's a good deep. It's a good deep. Yeah.
I'm not gasping for air.
Yeah. If you start drowning, we'll give you a coffee break. Okay. And, positive atmosphere. We've gone through that. I don't want to beat that to death, but it's so important, just fostering a sense of belonging, camaraderie, shared passion for music. I had a student post on my Facebook page 16 years after she graduated, her little son playing his clarinet. And then she played clarinet after being off clarinet for 16 years and did a really good job. But isn't that cool and I'm not saying like, oh, look at me, kind of crap, but it was so cool to me to think that 16 years after she left my program, when her son came home with a clarinet, she thought enough to make 2 videotapes and post it on my Facebook feed,
That's great.
because
That's great.
she knew that I would appreciate it because the ones that are the kids of my ex-band students are my band grandbabies. That's what I
Yep.
call them. And now I'm starting to get close to band great
Great
grandbabies.
grandbabies. Bum,
And
bum, bum. Time marches on, brother.
yeah, it's like my dad at the Baptist church, they have adult 1, 2, 3, and 4. There is no adult 5, there's only heaven. That's what he'd always say. So everyone hangs in adult 4.
Promotion Sunday.
Promotion Sunday, the funeral will be Tuesday. But that's an old Baptist joke, so there's no adult
That's
5. It's either heaven or
that's
hell.
funny. Uh,
How's that for a success moment? Okay. And it's positive feedback, making sure that you meet with people and give information to them. Our administration, unless they're an ex-band director, they do not understand what we're doing until we educate them. So you get a new superintendent. Now you've got to make sure to get on their calendar. I try to schedule about 15 minutes a week so it's not overly taxing for them. And I say, what would be a good time to meet for 15 minutes? And they choose. And if I have to skip a class and someone else has to, student teacher has to do it, I'll go down there, whatever time works best. And we'll either talk about band or we'll talk about their kid playing baseball,
right.
just to meet with them because that is success. And I think the best compliment I ever had as a band director when the superintendent said, for a band director, you're almost a normal person.
Almost.
And I said, "I'll take that as a compliment." He goes, "That was
Good
meant to
thing.
be a compliment." Said, "'Cause you know how it is."
I do.
And I said, "I'll take that as a compliment." Okay. And then kinda kind of look into this a little bit deeper, we can go into this whole thing. Students who participate in band are more likely to succeed academically and socially, demonstrating the positive impact of music education. They're better at math. They get better test scores. They tend to have less discipline problems in your school. But you know what? Everything I just said can also be done in theater arts, can be done in
Yeah.
choir, can be done in Shakespearean theater, can be done in football, can be done in baseball, can be done in basketball, all those things. So it's okay. Use the facts, use the data. It's okay. But Derek, are we at a chicken or the egg moment? Did
Right.
the
I was
smart
getting ready to
kids
say,
come to band, or did the band make the kids smart?
now you know what I do for a living. And part of what I
I'm not
do
really sure, but go ahead.
part of what I do involves helping with recruitment and retention.
Yeah.
And man, we trot these statistics out for every prospective beginner class to the point that I think that most of the parents already know it's coming.
Hmm.
And I have to be careful because I wonder in 2 or 3 years, are they going to go, who cares? It's not fun. It's not a very good program. And I'm not talking about even ratings or anything else. If people are bailing out after a year or two,
Yeah.
then you're just being perceived as a way to get your fine arts credit and move on.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that the truth is that the students test better. I appreciate the fact that music touches all those parts of our brain, and all of that is absolutely the truth.
Yeah, it is.
But isn't it great as a byproduct for a successful program instead of please make them come do this thing that I'm not creating a successful program, but listen, you want your kids to test well.
Yeah.
Does that translate what I'm trying to say there?
It
That
does.
we
Makes
tried
perfect
out this
sense.
all these flyers and it's all true that music education does help in all of these ways. And chicken egg, as you said, or is it that the people that are going to be good at that stuff are attracted to music as an outlet
Yeah.
or as a way to scratch the itch in their brain
Yeah.
emotionally and intellectually at the same time?
Yeah, because I like to liken it because I always started when I do my recruiting, we would trot out the statistics, but I would tell them, said, it's a dangerous thing though to kind of think about this because it's almost like the basketball coach could say, playing basketball makes boys taller because the
Okay.
tallest kids in the school are on the basketball team. So if you get your kid signed
So
for basketball,
statistically,
he's gonna grow about 6, 7 inches by the time he's a sophomore. Said, it's kind of the same thing. It's not necessarily the truth, but said there is some sense of truth to it. So let's go through these. And I would trot out those statistics, but I'd always kind of lighten it up that way because they'd go, "Oh yeah, what's it causation? Whatever." I always forget what that exact quote is.
right.
It's a, but you could do the same thing with anything. You know what I mean? It's in the old days, you could say, you could literally say that make becoming a band director will make you a male
Historically.
because every band director was a guy.
Yeah.
Not so anymore. In fact, the smart ones are the females. They're the guys. They're the ones that drive the buses for us. If you want something done, you get you a lady to come in and help out, and she'll make sure things get done.
But
So that causation thing is a problem.
that doesn't discount the truth that learning to read music and learning to play an instrument does exercise so many parts of your brain
Oh yeah,
and
no
does so
doubt.
many great things intellectually.
Yeah.
But back to your point, if you do enough physical, I don't want to say exercises, I'm not talking about jumping jacks, but dribbling exercises, you become a better dribbler. It increases hand eye coordination to the point that you don't even have to look anymore.
Ooh, I'm going to add that to my spiel. It's a from the tall thing. And now here's the truth: they will be better at eye hand
Right.
coordination. That's really good. I like that. I
So,
like that a lot. Um, but I like to approach it too. Is when I go through all that and I say, but we teach music just because music is worth it.
because it's worth it.
It's a
You
skill.
preach, Mike Lunney. You
It's
preach.
a skill that will make them a better person. But even beyond that, I keep going back to it because music is worth it. Even lifelong skills. People sometimes ask me, "So why do you still practice trumpet all the time?" Yeah, I don't play that much in public. I get a little opportunity every once in a while, and it's fun, but it's maybe 6 days out of the year. But I still practice 30, 40 minutes a day, uh, probably 5 days a week. I don't want to overdo it. But you know why I do it? Because both
Because
my
your soul
parents,
craves it.
no, both my parents had Alzheimer's. And I know there's a correlation here that if you'll use both sides of your brain if you practice music, whether it's piano, trumpet, singing, that musicians will maintain their longevity of intellectual skill if they practice their music continually. So part of it's because the music is worth it, but there's that other stat too. That other stat is important to me. And I do love it. I'll get out my little jazz standard thing, and no one wants to listen to me probably, but I just make sure no one's in the house when I play, so I don't want to irritate people playing Autumn Leaves 400 times, you know. But I just love playing. I practiced this morning at 6 o'clock this morning, got up, did my thing, So I do it for the fact that music is worth it, but also there's the testing thing. I want to keep my brain as sharp as I possibly can because both my parents were, I wouldn't say victims, but it came from diabetics things and blood sugar and different medications. And again, chicken or the egg. Does the medication cause those symptoms for Alzheimer's? Or was it the high blood pressure that caused it? It wasn't the medications that caused it. So I mean, we're getting really deep into all that. But you got to do things. You've got to preach to the parents that when it all comes down to it, that just the fact of being a musician makes you a better person.
Yeah.
So the music is worth it. It's not because we want a higher score on the ACT. If we get a higher score, it's not because little Johnny played trumpet. It's because he worked in the band and set goals and learned processes. It wasn't
No.
necessarily the trumpet that made him a better, uh, mathematician.
Right.
There's not much correlation there. Correlation causation thing. There's not much correlation there, honestly, but there is in the terms of he learned how to work with people. He learned how to have a process. He learned how to set goals, and then he approached that on the ACT testing cycle.
Yeah. Just for fun, sometimes I think we should look up, not to trot it out here, but I think people should look up successful people that were musicians.
Yeah.
It will amaze you some of the people you would have never thought to be a musician attribute that a lot of their musicianship to helping them figure out some of the hard problems of life.
Yeah. I'll throw one out there at you, Michael Dell.
Right.
He was an all-state French horn player from either Round Rock or Georgetown, one of those 2 schools, and even to this day in his massive billion-dollar corporation, his highest up individuals in that are, in his own words, 90% of them are ex-band, orchestra, or choir students because
Right.
those people know how to work together as a team, and they don't thrive on being recognized.
Individual honor. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a trumpet 14 in a marching band, they don't announce you at the game. It's not like, my son was 44, the Wiley Bulldogs. You heard his name because he was a
Right,
fullback,
right.
but you don't hear Trumpet 14 because he was Trumpet 14 also, but he was never announced as, and Trumpet 14, Austin Lunney with a really good note there at measure 41,
Okay, way
you
to pull
know?
down that middle section there, buddy.
Yeah, so we know how to work together and be successful without so much personal recognition, individual recognition, and he really liked that because he thrived on that himself. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It's interesting when you dive into that. It's the old correlation causation kind of argument, the chicken or the egg, which came first, or did just because this says it happened, does that mean it was caused by what we did, or was it going to happen anyway? So
Uh,
we get real philosophical here. I'm feeling like I need a
sure, but
cigar.
just
I need a
to yank
cigar.
us back to the reality of the moment,
Yeah,
nothing we've discussed the last 45 minutes is gonna be on any sort of trophy you do or don't get.
that's right. Yeah,
And I think maybe that's the point.
yeah. And we would write our names, have the kids write their names on the back of the trophies. What's funny is when they'd come to the band hall like 10 years later, they would want to look at it, which was kind of cool. It'd be homecoming and they'd turn the trophy around. And then I'd always kind of slyly go, "What did we play that year?"
Right,
They'd go, "I don't remember." But you remembered your name was on that trophy
right.
because your name was with all those other names. It wasn't that we did a certain show, it was all these other names. Those
Fantastic.
relationships made you remember band. It made you come all the way back to the band hall and interrupt my day and want me to climb up on a ladder and get your dang trophy down and let you see the back of the trophy because the trophy wasn't important. The names on the trophy on the back in Sharpie, that's what
Right.
was important.
And I used to love going into my old band halls and seeing the group pictures on the wall,
Mhm.
not necessarily to see myself, but it just brought back all those other people around me. Some
Yeah.
of them I hadn't thought of in a while. Some of them I'm like, "Oh, what a great person," or "That was my tribe,"
Yeah.
you
And
know?
then on another side of that, the ones who, for whatever reason, have passed.
Yeah.
They might have died in college. My best friend in high school and college and drum corps, he passed away in a boating accident years back. So you see those pictures and go, "Man, we had some good times.
Yep.
I miss that person." So that's what it's all about. That's what
And I've
church.
never went to a math class. No offense, Mr. Numbers guy, but and gone, "Uh, who else was in this class with me? I have no idea."
Oh, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm so old, we used to take typing class. Did you ever take
I did
typing
too.
class?
I took typing.
Yeah, kids laugh about that now, and if you did really well on the words per minute, you got to use the IBM Selectric electric typewriters,
There you
not
go.
the manuals, so, yeah,
But the
so,
other
yeah, I don't remember who was in that class, but I remember every kid in my section in band.
I laugh all the time because they still do typing, they just call it keyboard skills now.
Yeah, but they do it like 2 fingers, I don't know what they do.
Right.
It's
Right.
they
Keyboard
don't understand.
shortcuts.
Yeah, d damn those
Brother,
kids.
thank you for this. I think this is a much needed thought process. I don't think it's new to us, but it's timely right now.
Yeah, hopefully it'll give some of our compadres, some perspective on contest season. What
And I
was it successful, regardless of the rating?
I've I also hope it will allow some of our compadres to actually enjoy the moment
Yeah,
and recognize what that group in front of them is doing compared to what they couldn't do before you started that process.
yeah, and, I
So,
wanna end my portion on a quote from a friend of mine, Doyce Pace. He said, "This job is too damn hard not to love it."
amen.
That is a great quote to end on.
Care to
"This
say
job is too damn hard not to love it."
we need to make that famous.
I need a
So,
bumper sticker.
all right, brother. Enjoy your week.
I will. It's good to see you, man.